Welcome to Dive Zone, your space to go deeper into English, one episode at a time. If you're enjoying the journey, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you never miss a deep dive into language learning.
Better late than never. We've all heard that one, right?
Definitely.
It's often just a casual thing you say when something's delayed, or maybe when you finally get around to a task.
A bit of a throwaway line sometimes.
Exactly. But let's really dig into it today. What does it actually mean? And maybe more importantly, how does it land for you listening right now?
Yeah, our goal isn't just to, repeat a cliche. We want to explore better late than never and find something, genuinely meaningful there.
Like real hope.
Real hope, and maybe even a practical push towards those goals you might have shelved, regardless of where you think you should be on some imaginary timeline.
Because, let's be honest, a lot of us have that little voice, don't we? That whisper of regret.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I missed my chance, or it's too late for that now.
Right.
But this phrase, better late than never, it's not about just accepting defeat, is it? It feels more like pushing back.
It's active, yeah. It's that maybe slightly shaky, but brave step forward after you've been hesitating for maybe a long time.
Yeah.
It really is. And, think about someone like Harry Bernstein. Incredible story.
Oh, tell us.
Well, he had a whole lifetime of pretty ordinary jobs, writing on the side. But get this, he didn't publish his first book until he was 96.
96? Wow.
Seriously. The Invisible Wall. And it wasn't just published, it was critically acclaimed. He actually said, famously, the 90s were the most productive years of my life.
That's amazing. It kind of makes you ask yourself, doesn't it?
What's our excuse? Yeah. What's holding us back?
Okay, so let's start unpacking maybe the biggest hurdle here, this idea of the timeline myth.
Ah, yes, the timeline myth.
It's that unspoken set of rules, isn't it, that says there's a right age for everything.
Totally. Career by X, marriage by Y, kids, retirement. All mapped out.
But where do these rules even come from? Often it's just, what society expects or what we see our friends doing.
Exactly. It's rarely based on, how life actually works for most people. We feel like we're falling behind if we don't hit those marks.
Right. But life isn't some neat checklist, is it? It's messy, it twists, it turns. There are detours, discoveries.
And that drive, that desire to learn something new or achieve something personal, that doesn't just switch off at a certain birthday. Personal growth has no expiration date.
No, absolutely not. And when you look around, people peak at completely different times.
They really do. Careers taking off in the 20s or the 70s, finding love early or finding it much later, starting a business young, or like Colonel Sanders, much, much later.
Yeah.
The when isn't really the point, is it? It's the will. It's the desire.
Okay, this ties into something really interesting psychologically. It's called the fresh start effect.
Right. That tendency we have to feel more motivated around specific dates. New Year's is the classic one.
Or a birthday, maybe the start of a month.
Yeah, those calendar markers. And they can give you a little mental boost, that's true.
But the key thing is you don't need them, right?
Exactly. You don't have to wait for January 1st. Any moment, literally right now, can be that turning point. The power to change isn't tied to the calendar.
But it's often not just about waiting for the right date, is it? When we think about starting late, there are these internal blockers.
Oh, definitely. The psychological barriers.
Like feeling ashamed, maybe, or worrying what other people might think.
Huge ones. That inner monologue kicks in, people will laugh. Or, it's embarrassing to be a beginner at my age.
Yeah, I'll look foolish.
Right. But how do we reframe that? Because deciding to start anyway, despite that fear, that's not weakness. That's actually, it's incredibly brave.
It really is. It shows you're willing to be vulnerable, step out of your comfort zone.
And just embrace growth, no matter what the clock says.
Okay, let's make this concrete. We need some real-life examples. Julia Childs is a great one.
Oh, fantastic example.
Yeah.
Didn't even really start cooking properly until her late 30s.
And her first cookbook, she was 49, became a household name in her 50s. Talk about breaking the mold.
Completely. And then, you mentioned Colonel Sanders earlier, started franchising KFC at 65. 65.
After apparently getting rejected over 1,000 times.
Imagine the persistence.
And Laura Ingalls Wilder, Little House on the Prairie.
Published her first novel at 65, too.
See, these aren't just, flukes. These are people who just refuse to let age define what was possible.
And it goes beyond fame, doesn't it? Think about all the people achieving really meaningful personal goals later in life, maybe things nobody else even knows about.
Like what?
Oh, someone finally learning Italian at 70 because they always dreamed of it, or going back to get a degree at 60.
Or someone making a huge life change, like coming out later in life or leaving a bad situation.
Exactly. Or just picking up a guitar or a paintbrush for the sheer joy of it, not aiming for stardom.
The common thread seems to be they just didn't give up on that part of themselves.
That's it. They didn't write themselves off.
So what is it about starting later? Is there something like a hidden advantage?
Well, it's interesting. They often bring this depth,
Yeah.
A perspective, a richness that maybe comes from living longer, from experiencing more ups and downs.
Resilience built from just living.
Yeah, resilience, self-awareness, things that can be incredibly helpful when you're tackling something new.
I remember reading Malcolm Gladwell talking about different types of creativity. He had conceptual innovators who peak early and experimental ones.
Right. The experimental ones often refine their craft over time, integrating life experience, and their best work comes later. A lot of late bloomers might fit that pattern.
So maybe you're not behind schedule. Maybe you're
in the middle of your arc, your own unique developmental path.
like a tree bearing fruit when it's ready.
Exactly. Or a caterpillar transforming. Some processes just take time. You can't rush them.
Okay, let's bring this home for everyone listening. I want you to do a quick exercise with me. Imagine looking in a mirror, metaphorically speaking.
Okay.
What's something you've kind of let go of? Something you told yourself it was too late for? Now, what would you actually do if you genuinely believed you still had plenty of time?
That's a powerful question.
And the big one. What's one tiny, tiny thing you could realistically start, like today?
And this really gets at that idea of waiting for the perfect moment, doesn't it?
Which never arrives.
Rarely. Waiting for everything to be just right is usually just waiting. Sometimes you have to start messy. Start scared, even.
Yeah, just start. Because, that saying, in 5 years, you'll wish you had started today, that one hits hard sometimes.
It really does. And the starting doesn't need to be some huge, dramatic leap.
No.
Not at all. The power is often in the small acts, the little rebellions against that too late feeling.
Like, give me some examples.
Okay, like just opening that book you've been meaning to read about, say, starting a small business. Or signing up for one single introductory yoga class, not a whole year's membership.
Or writing one sentence, just one sentence of that novel idea.
Exactly. Or putting on your shoes and walking around the block if fitness is the goal. Sending one email to reconnect with someone. Tiny things.
Just one small thing can make a difference.
It's amazing how it builds momentum. You don't usually just wake up motivated. Motivation often follows action. That tiny first step can be the spark.
Okay, something else we need to talk about. Comparison. It's killer.
Oh, the comparison trap.
Yes. We look at our friends, our classmates, people on social media. Everyone seems to be hitting these milestones, and if our path looks different, it feels bad.
It can be so discouraging. But here's the thing, the sort of secret. Most people are just figuring it out as they go along.
Really? It doesn't always look that way from the outside.
I know. But behind the curated feeds and confident fronts, there's usually a lot of uncertainty.
Right.
Everyone's navigating their own challenges.
So it's less like a race where everyone's on the same track.
And more like a marathon, maybe. Everyone has their own pace, their own terrain, maybe some unexpected detours.
Or like you said with the flower earlier.
Yeah, the flower. It doesn't look at the one next to it and think, oh no, I'm blooming slower. It just blooms when its time is right. Why should we be any different?
That's a great image. Okay, what about those dreams we had when we were younger? The ones that feel like the ship has sailed, missed opportunities.
Right. That feeling can be strong. But often, opportunities don't vanish entirely. They change shape.
What do you mean?
Well, the core desire behind the dream is usually still there. Maybe this specific form isn't possible anymore, but the essence is.
Okay, give me an example.
All right. Maybe you dreamed of being a pro athlete.
Yeah.
Okay, that specific window might be closed. But the love of the sport, the desire for physical challenge.
Still there.
Right. So maybe you coach kids or join a local league or mentor young players. You connect with that core desire in a new way.
Or the rock star dream.
Yeah. Maybe being an overnight sensation isn't happening. But you can still write songs, play open mic nights, share music online. It feeds that creative need.
So even if, say, becoming a professional ballerina at 60 is off the table.
You can still take a dance class. For the joy of movement, the expression. The why behind the original dream often just needs a new how.
That makes a lot of sense. It's about finding the new how. Okay, let's talk about reinvention. Our culture loves early success, sticking to one thing, but changing course later.
We should celebrate that more, shouldn't we? Reinvention takes serious guts. Recognizing something isn't working anymore and having the courage to build something new, that's a massive strength.
Yeah, you hear amazing stories. Engineers becoming counselors, teachers launching startups.
Parents going back to school once the kids are grown. It happens all the time.
These aren't people who are lost, they're evolving.
Exactly. And if you're in that uncertain space, feeling like you're between things, that's not necessarily being behind. It might mean you're right on the edge of becoming something new. That's exciting.
But what stops us? What are those walls we hit when we think about starting late?
Often, if you look closely, the walls are made of the stories we tell ourselves. Oh, I'm terrible with technology. I'm too old to learn X. I don't have the energy. It's just not realistic.
We build our own prisons sometimes.
We really can. But the good news is, if we built them, we can also rewrite those stories.
How?
Instead of, I'm too old, maybe try. My experience gives me a unique perspective. Instead of, it's too late, how about, now is actually better because of everything I've learned.
And I'm not good at this.
Becomes, I haven't learned this yet. Adding that yet is surprisingly powerful.
So it's about that conscious shift in mindset. It's not magic, but it opens doors.
Precisely. Mindset isn't everything, but fear and negativity definitely close doors. Telling yourself something brave, something empowering, it genuinely changes what feels possible.
Okay, this feels very personal, which is great. But can starting something late actually affect others? Does it ripple outwards?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It might feel like your own private struggle or journey, but when you take that leap, when you try again, it sends a message.
A message of hope.
Hope, possibility, resilience. People see that. It can inspire them in ways you might never even know. Your kids, your friends, colleagues.
I remember reading about Ernestine Shepherd. She started bodybuilding in her 70s.
Incredible woman.
Yeah.
It became a huge inspiration to thousands, showing that age is no barrier to fitness and strength.
So your story, my story, anyone listening, our willingness to try again, even late, that could spark something for someone else.
It absolutely could. Your journey matters beyond just you.
Okay, the big one, fear of failure.
Yeah.
It paralyzes people, right? Especially later on, maybe we feel we have more to lose or less time to recover.
It's a powerful fear, no doubt. But here's the thing. Studies often show, especially when people reflect near the end of their lives.
What do they regret most?
Overwhelmingly, it's the things they didn't do. The chances not taken, the words not said, the paths not explored, far more than the things they tried and maybe failed at.
So the regret of inaction is actually heavier than the sting of failure.
Much heavier, it seems. Because failure, well, you learn from it. You build resilience. You get information for next time.
But inaction just leaves you with...
that haunting what if.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough weight to carry.
Another thing that stops us. Perfectionism. Needing everything to be perfectly planned. Needing to feel 100% ready.
The readiness myth. Waiting for perfect is often just a very convincing excuse not to start.
So action trumps perfection.
Every time. Taking that first step, even if it's flawed, even if you're uncertain, is infinitely more valuable than having a perfect plan you never execute.
Give ourselves permission to be messy beginners.
Please, write the messy first draft. Go to the awkward first class. Make the shaky first video. Whatever it is, action is the antidote. It breaks the spell of fear and inertia.
Okay, let's do one more little visualization. Fast forward 1 year from today.
Duh.
Imagine you actually took small, consistent steps towards that thing you've been putting off. What might look different?
Maybe you've read those 5 books on the topic. Maybe you've saved up a bit of money for that trip. Maybe you've reconnected with that creative passion, even just an hour a week.
Launch that tiny side project, learn the basics of that skill, feel a bit healthier, took a small risk in a relationship.
Right. You might not be at the final destination, but think how much further along you'd be compared to staying put. And it all starts with that first better late than never step.
You know, think about it this way. Maybe starting late isn't a drawback. Maybe it's actually a gift.
I really think it can be. Yes, you have more years behind you, but look what comes with that.
Wisdom. Perspective.
Wisdom, perspective, self-awareness, usually a clearer sense of what actually matters to you. You've weathered storms, you've learned things.
So you show up differently.
You show up with depth, with intention, maybe with less need to prove anything, and more focus on the actual process. That's not catching up. That's arriving prepared in a different way.
I like that. It reframes the whole thing. It's like life having a second act.
Exactly.
Yay.
Think of a movie that maybe starts a bit slow, but the second half is where all the power and meaning really land.
Our best chapters might still be unwritten.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And think about all the lessons learned along the way. The mistakes, the detours.
They weren't wasted time.
Not at all. They were education. You learned what not to do. You learned about yourself. That knowledge makes your later actions smarter, more focused.
Like that story you mentioned earlier, Leela, the finance person turned artist at 50.
Yes. And what was key was her realizing her finance career wasn't wasted time. It actually gave her the substance, the perspective for her art.
Her whole journey fed into her new beginning.
Exactly. Your unique path, whatever it's been, is the resource you bring to whatever you start next.
Okay, so we know why we should start, but that feeling of I'm not ready can still be really sticky. What's the actual cost of just waiting longer?
Well, first, ready is mostly a feeling, not an objective state. It's a myth. The perfect moment rarely knocks.
And the longer we wait,
the harder inertia becomes to overcome. You reinforce the habit of not doing it.
and we talked about the costs earlier, losing momentum, maybe some self-respect, missing out on joy, confidence.
Missed chances to learn, to grow, to connect. The cost of staying in the maybe someday zone is higher than we often realize.
Okay, let's get super practical. You talked about a better late plan. Can you break down the steps again?
Sure. 5 simple steps. 1, pick one thing. Just one. Don't try to boil the ocean.
Focus, okay.
2, make it tiny. Shrink that first step until it feels almost ridiculously easy. Like read one page, not read the whole book.
Removes the overwhelm.
Exactly. 3, make it real. Put it in your calendar. Tell a supportive friend. Set an alarm. Give it actual space in your life.
Commitment.
4, track it. Just seeing progress, even tiny check marks on a list or a calendar, is incredibly motivating. Use a journal, an app, whatever works.
See the wins.
And 5, celebrate those small wins. Acknowledge your effort. Did you do the tiny thing? Great. Give yourself a little pat on the back. It reinforces the new habit.
Pick one. Make it tiny. Make it real. Track it. Celebrate it. Sounds doable.
It's designed to be.
You also mentioned writing a metaphorical letter to the late starters. What's the core message there?
It's really a message of reassurance. To anyone feeling left behind, that feeling is understandable, but it's not the final truth. You are not too late.
Not too late for joy, growth, change.
Not for any of it. Think of the time passed not as lost, but as seasoning, preparing you for this moment. The world actually needs what you uniquely have to offer whenever you're ready to share it. Start now. See what happens. You deserve that.
And you said better late than never isn't just comfort, it's a battle cry.
Yeah, it's active. It's the artist finally setting up the easel. It's the dad finally writing that book he always talked about. It's the woman rebuilding her life after hardship. The retiree learning to code. The survivor finding their voice.
It's hope in action.
Exactly. It's not just wishful thinking. It's the belief that fuels the first step and the next. And that choice, the choice to start, it's available to every single person listening right now.
So, wrapping this up, we've covered a lot. Why starting late feels hard, but why it's so powerful. The myths, the psychology.
Those inspiring stories of people who just went for it, defying the timelines.
And the crucial takeaway seems to be about small, consistent actions.
Absolutely. Success, change, growth, it's rarely one giant leap. It's the sum of many small decisions, many small steps taken consistently.
Like that 1% rule idea, just improving a tiny bit each day adds up massively over time.
It really does. And finding some accountability helps telling someone using a tracker.
And remembering that failure isn't the end, it's just data.
It's learning. It's redirection. It's part of the process, not proof you should stop.
Letting go of perfectionism, embracing the messy start.
Yes. Progress over perfection, always.
And being kind to ourselves along the way, self-compassion.
So important. Talk to yourself like you'd talk to a friend facing the same challenge. Be encouraging.
So the big message is just take the step, however small.
Take the step. Lean into the discomfort a little. Trust that moving forward is always, always worthwhile.
So for everyone listening, maybe feeling that familiar pang of, is it too late for me? What's our final word?
Keep going, or rather start going. Don't let that too late feeling win another day. Every single step forward, no matter when you take it, is a profound gift to your future self. This moment, right now, it's the perfect time to begin. It is never too late. Not for you, not for your dreams, not for your happiness.